For these basic lessons, your patient's incision should run from left to right in front of you. Think spay incision and how a patient is placed on the surgery table. Remember, you will not be able to move your patient during the lesson since you cannot rotate your patient on the surgery table. Your tissue forceps will be held in your left hand using a pencil grip. Your right hand will grasp the needle holders. Your thumb and ring fingers will be placed in the finger rings, and your pointer finger will be extended along the needle holder. This will help stabilize the needle holder as you push the needle through the tissue. The tips of your needle holders will be used to grasp your needle 2/3 of the way down the body of the needle. When you're done, the needle will be perpendicular to your needle holders. Let's review some terminology. A bite is the action of placing the suture or the needle through tissue. A throw is when you place your needle holders or align your needle holders between the tail of the suture and the needle of the suture. You will wrap around once, grasp the tail, and pull it through. A bite consists of 2 throws. So you will realign your needle holders, wrap your suture around once, pull your tail through again. You now have a regular knot. You will hear us refer to a special knot called a surgeon's knot. This is performed basically the same way. You will still need to take a bite of tissue. You will realign your needle holders between the tail and the needle again. Wrap the suture around once. Now for a surgeon's throw, you will wrap the suture around a second time. Grasp the tail, pull it through. Now remember, this is a knot and it consists of 2 throws. You will realign your needle holders, wrap around once, and pull through. That is a surgeon's knot. A secure knot consists of 2 knots. Okay, let's move on to a forward interlocking suture pattern. Remember, this is a continuous suture pattern, so it will consist of a knot, several bites, and a second knot. So let's start with the first knot. You're going to take a bite, and as you can see, I entered on the opposite side of the incision and exited on the close side of the incision. Align your needle holders, and you're going to do a surgeon's throw. So twice, grab your tail and pull it through. Realign your needle holders, because you need 2 throws. Wrap around once, grasp your tail, bring it through. Remember, you need to make a secure knot, so you need to add another knot on top of that. A single throw and a second single throw. You now have 2 knots. Okay, knot number 1 for your continuous pattern is done. To do your next bite, you will move over about 4 to 6 millimeters, enter on the far side of your incision, exit on the near side of your incision. Now, your simple continuous, I told you to make sure you stayed on the outside of your loop, but there was another suture pattern that required you go through the center. It is your forward interlocking. So you want to make sure that when you pull your suture through, you are on the inside of this loop. And it almost looks like a little N at this point. Okay. We will be taking your next bite. Move over about 4 to 6 millimeters. You're going to enter on the far side and exit on the close side. You will go through the middle of the loop. So here's my loop. You'll see it a little better once I get this pulled through. So, see my loop right here? See how my loop is there? Okay, you can see the shape of your pattern starting to happen. Some mistakes that I see people make are when they pull the suture through, like I'm always pulling it forward this direction. If you change your direction of which you pull, so one minute you're pulling this way, the next bite you're pulling this way, then you will not wind up with this nice little pattern or line running along your incision. It's going to wind up doing this wonky thing. So always pull through your loop the same direction. Okay, we're going to take our next bite. So in, out of tissue. Okay, you can see that I've got my suture material lined up. So I'm going through the loop, and you'll be able to see that loop as I pull it through. Okay, let's do that another time. Bite, enter, bite, exit. Okay, I've got my loop lined up. I'm going to pull through. I'm using the back of my tissue forceps only because my shammy is buckling. For real tissue, you won't need to do that. Okay, one more bite. Enter bite, exit bite. Okay, make sure I'm going to be in the middle of my incision, or in the middle of my loop. Pull through. You can see my loop. Okay, so if you look at all my bites, I've got my knot, my bite, 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 bite. Since I've gone through the loop, I have this little nice line that follows through my loop pattern. Okay, to think about it, it makes kind of a backwards F. So line, little tags, line, little tags. So I always equate it as looking like little F's for forward interlocking. Just a little way to remember it. Let's do our last knot. So remember with our simple continuous, we don't have an end tail over here, but we made what I referred to as a loop tail. You want to take your bite and pull it through, but you want to keep a little loop here. Okay, doesn't matter if it twists. If it twists, it might help you see that as a tail a little easier. But you want to align your needle holders between the loop tail and your needle. Wrap around twice because remember we're doing a surgeon's throw first. Grab the furthest point on your loop and pull it through. That's your first throw. Your second throw for your knot, wrap around once, grasp that loop, pull it through. Okay, a secure knot needs 2 knots. So wrap around once, pull through, realign, wrap around once, pull through. Okay, you will be able to cut your ends at that point. Remember, for a continuous, it will look like you have 3 tails, and that's because you had a loop tail. Okay, as with other suture patterns, you want to make sure that your entrance and exit points are evenly spaced on opposite sides of your incision. You want your bites to be evenly spaced. Your forward interlocking pattern will have basically a little line that follows along your incision, whereas the simple continuous does not have that. So here is your forward interlocking suture pattern.